With 24/7 customer service and guaranteed repairs, your Progressive policy works the way it's supposed to. Unlike this stressful meditation guide.
Take a deep breath. Focus on all the things you have to do. Did someone make the vet appointment yet? You don't know? That feels like something you should know.
Switch to Progressive today.
You are a mess.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Repairs through Progressive Network Shops guaranteed for as long as you own or lease your car.
For the health coverage you need close to home, lean on Molina Healthcare. Molina has 40 years of experience caring for people across the U.S. with access to quality care for moms, kids, and families. Molina provides preventive services, pediatric care, maternity and newborn care, transportation to medical appointments, a 24-hour nurse advice line, and more, all at no cost. For details and to find out if you qualify, go to leanonmolina.com. Get the care you need. Lean on Molina.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is Daily Drop number 419. Hey, what's up, everybody, and greetings from Sin City. Hope everybody's having a fantastic day so far. Tonight, we're going to talk about the warden who was in charge of the facility when Jeffrey Epstein allegedly killed himself. Now, you would think that the Bureau of Prisons, which has literally thousands upon thousands upon thousands of employees, would be able to dig into the well and find somebody else to be the warden of a prison. Well, if that's what you thought, you're giving the Bureau of Prisons and the Department of Justice way too much credit. Because just like in the NFL, all of these terribly horrible coaches who end up being retreads and getting new jobs elsewhere, I guess it's the same for wardens within the prison system. Because this person, who was in charge of the whole shebang the night that Jeffrey Epstein died, should not have a job. And furthermore, how is it that his employees, the two lowly guards, are the only ones charged, yet this guy gets to go on his merry way and in fact is given a plush new assignment? Now, who are we going to blame now? We can't blame Trump. We can't blame Barr. So, who do we blame, folks? That's right, the people who are in charge now, that would be President Biden and his team. Why are they allowing this to occur? I'll tell you why. Because it's meet the new boss, same as the old boss. It's just packaged better now, right? Not as mean to people. But the fact of the matter is, what's really going to change? And with reports like this out, certainly doesn't look like much, at least within the Bureau of Prisons. And why should it? It's been a shit show for decades. And as long as they can continue to put people in prison for profit, why are they ever going to change anything? But I find it disgusting, to be honest with you, that this man is put in charge of another facility on the heels of what occurred at MCC. Instead of being placed in a new position, he should have been fired. Our article tonight is from AP News, and the authors are Michael Balsamo and Michael R. Sisak. The warden who ran the beleaguered federal jail where disgraced financier, pedophile, Jeffrey Epstein killed himself, allegedly, has been put in charge of another prison despite an ongoing federal investigation and in direct contradiction of a public pronouncement from the Bureau of Prisons that it would delay any move until the inquiry was finished. Sure sounds fishy to me. Now, why would the Bureau of Prisons move this guy over while there is an ongoing investigation into the facility that he was running and into the conduct of all that were there, including him. Don't you think this would be the prudent time for this person to be suspended? I mean, with pay or whatever, pending investigation. But why are they in charge of another facility? Have we learned nothing? Are we just going to let people like this continue to be in charge of these facilities where these inmates are being housed? In the whole entire Bureau of Prisons employee roster, they can't come up with somebody better. This is the person that they settled on, huh? It is mind-boggling to me that this man would be given this position. Honestly, I think that if his prison guards are being charged with felonies, then I think he should be charged as well for negligence. Where was he the night this occurred? Where was the guy that's underneath him? Who was in charge of the jail that night? Obviously nobody. And furthermore, how did Jeffrey Epstein get all of that shit into his cell? Were there no safeguards in place? Nobody needs all of that, that clothing and whatnot. So the fact that this dude is being shuffled around and moved to a different facility makes you wonder, doesn't it? This guy's like the Wade Phillips of wardens at this point. And the fact that there's an ongoing investigation and they still put him there, it's just, I don't even understand. Because whenever someone asks for information about one of these cases and there's an ongoing investigation, that's what they use as an excuse not to be transparent. But now that they have an ongoing investigation that this man is certainly part of, it's okay for them to do whatever they want and just put him in charge of a different facility. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, we all know that it's a two-tiered system and they make the rules and we're expected to follow them. So I'm going to slaughter this guy's name when I say it, but here we go. Lamine Ndai was placed into the position of acting warden at FCI Fort Dix, a low-security prison in Burlington County, New Jersey, earlier this month, according to 4 people familiar with the matter. They were not authorized to discuss the matter publicly and spoke on condition of anonymity. Oh, that's nice. I mean, it's nice to see the Bureau of Prisons is being so transparent that people that are aware of the situation have to speak in an anonymous fashion. So what, they don't get reprisals from the Federal Bureau of Prisons? What a bunch of brutes. The bureaucracy in this country is a big problem, folks. A huge problem. There was never supposed to be a political class. Wasn't supposed to be a career. But yet here we are. These people such as Lamine Ndai, who were involved in this and were, at the end of the day, in charge of the operation, right? He's the one who is in charge. He's the warden. The buck stops with him. That's how it works when you're in charge, right? You're the one who stands up tall before the wagon. With great rewards also comes great risks. So if you're going to be the man and you're going to be the warden of this prison, when something goes wrong, such as this, you should do the right thing and resign. Never mind all of this maneuvering. Never mind all of this shuffling him around. What is he, a Catholic priest? Absolutely ludicrous that this man still has a job. I hear the government's giving out $300 extra a week in unemployment, homie. About time you get a little taste of that, like the rest of the middle class. The Bureau had attempted to place Ndai in the job at Fort Dix about a year ago, but the move was stopped by then Attorney General William Barr after the Associated Press reported the transfer. Well, what do you know? Darth Barr stood up tall before the wagon and stopped this ridiculous move? I wonder where Merrick Garland is. Why wasn't that done again? Why was this man allowed to be given this position at this new facility? These questions have to be asked, right? Just like with this warden, the new administration's in charge and the buck stops with them. So they better have some answers for this, right? Oh yeah, wait, I forgot. That would take a legacy media who actually gave a damn. A legacy media that might actually ask a question or two about Jeffrey Epstein at the press conference. But that'll never happen. Because all of these legacy media clowns are in the bag, folks. They are all in the bag. It's all happy days now, don't you know? The boogeyman was ousted, so we can all get on getting on. And we can, those of us who are paying attention now, we can go back to forgetting about the absolute corruption at the highest levels of government and elsewhere. That's what they would have you think, that everything's fine now, folks. Time to go back to sleep. Well, I have news for you. The toothpaste is not going back in the tube. We know what we know, and it doesn't matter what letter is in front of the president's name or the administration in charge. Certain things must occur, and if they don't, well, whoever's in charge, that's the person who gets the blame. And so far, Merrick Garland is not impressing me, folks. Not in the least. The Bureau said at the time that it would defer any transfer until the investigation surrounding Epstein's 2019 death had concluded. And that's logical, right? That's definitely a logical way to go about it. You can't be moving anybody around if they're still part of an investigation. But I guess the new administration has other plans. I guess they have a different idea on culpability. The Justice Department's Inspector General has not completed an investigation into lapses that allowed Epstein to end his life. Let me just go ahead and get out in front of it, okay? There was a lot of mistakes that were made. Nothing was done on purpose. Epstein wasn't allowed to hurt himself. It was just a tragic failure of the system. Mark my words, that's what the Inspector General's report is going to read. Maybe not word for word, obviously, but paraphrasing. That's going to be the gist of it. Because when has one of these internal investigations ever turned anything up? Officials have said they would not conclude the criminal case against two officers who were supposed to be guarding Epstein before the watchdog's review could finish. Those officers are awaiting trial on charges they lied on prison records because they were sleeping and browsing the internet instead of doing their jobs. Well, that's funny. Where was their superior officer? Who was overseeing them to make sure that they weren't on those computers? Those people aren't culpable? The lieutenant on duty is not culpable? His boss isn't? Oh, I guess that only happens in the real world, right? Because in the real world, if you're the manager on duty and something like this goes wrong, I have news for you. You're getting the full brunt of whatever went wrong. If you're a manager on duty, you are the person that is left holding the bag. But we haven't seen any of that. Just these two lowly guards, and now the ex-warden gets a little pat on the head and moved over into a new position. Yeah, that doesn't sit well, folks. In fact, it's kind of revolting. The department is also conducting an internal review into the circumstances that led to Epstein's death, including why he wasn't given a cellmate. What? Well, maybe because they didn't want him to get... Oh, wait, it didn't matter. Cellmate or not. What transpired here was going to transpire one way or the other. The Bureau of Prisons, acting like the cellmate thing is a huge deal, is ridiculous. There should have been a camera pointed directly on this man's cell, and there should have been somebody watching that camera at all times. And the people who were in charge of watching that camera, say it was these two guards who ended up falling asleep, their boss should have been there to wake them up. But no, none of that occurred. And the only people that are in trouble, the only people facing felonies at this point, are these two guards. The Bureau refused to answer questions about why it was once again transferring Ndai despite the continuing investigation, whether senior agency officials had sought approval from the top levels of the Justice Department, or who authorized the transfer. Pretty sure that they would have to get approval from on high, right? This isn't something that just happens at a local level. We're talking about a federal bureaucracy here, folks. Someone signed off on this. Now, it'll be a game of, oh, it wasn't us, if the heat gets too hot, right? You'll see the Department of Justice pass the blame on to the Bureau of Prisons, and the Bureau of Prisons pass it back to the Department of Justice, and it'll muddy the waters, and eventually it'll be so confusing that nothing ever comes of it. Oh, they love doing that, don't they? The warden's reassignment points to further dysfunction inside an agency already under fire on a number of fronts. Chronic violence and staffing issues at its facilities, the high-profile deaths of Epstein and Whitey Bulger, a coronavirus outbreak at federal prisons that sickened thousands of inmates and led to 220 inmate deaths, and an unprecedented number of executions in the span of just a few months after a 17-year hiatus. Yeah, the Trump administration towards the end there went a little crazy with the carrying out of death sentences. Now, I'm only a fan of death sentences in the most strictest of manners, with a lot of evidence and where it's pretty much 100% that the people committed the crimes. But there was like a wave of executions. Now, I'm not going to hold that against this warden, though. That's not really his gig, right? His job is to do what he is told by the superiors, and if part of that function is to be involved in these executions, then hey, that's part of it. So we can be mad at him for being an absolute clown, an absolute joker, and an absolute moron. But again, if we want to point fingers at the death penalty, then those fingers should be pointing at the lawmakers, right? Barr ordered Ndai be reassigned to a desk post at the Bureau's regional office in Pennsylvania after Epstein's death, as the FBI and Inspector General investigated. Epstein took his own life, allegedly, in August 2019 at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York City while awaiting trial on charges he sexually abused girls as young as 14 and young women in New York and Florida in the early 2000s. So up until recently, this guy was on desk duty. What changed? Well, a new administration came in, and the new administration, 46's administration, thought that it was a good idea, I guess, to redistribute some of the love and send Mr. Ndai to another position where he could be warden and oversee the welfare of prisoners, staff, and, you know, I guess because he did such a great job the other time around, it was just, you know, just natural that they went out on a limb here and gave him this new job. I say to that, vafangul, okay? His suicide cast a spotlight on the federal prison agency, which has been plagued for years by a staffing shortage and violence, and on safety lapses inside one of the most secure jails in America. In recent months, the Bureau has struggled to address the exploding number of coronavirus cases amid criticism that it didn't do enough to stop the spread of the virus. Oh, give me a break already, okay? We can pin a lot of stuff on the Bureau of Prisons, but what are they supposed to do? You have a bunch of people in close contact. How are they supposed to social distance? So all of the other stuff, definitely valid criticisms of how these facilities are being managed. But the coronavirus is just, it's something that is so unmanageable in the best of times. But you put all of these people together and you think there's some sort of magic bullet that's going to stop people from spreading this virus? I think it's absurd to try and blame that on the prison system. Ndai is being placed at a prison where more than 61% of the inmates have tested positive for the virus. As of Monday, the Bureau said 1,610 of them had recovered. 36 staff members at the prison also have current positive test results for the virus, and one inmate died. So 61% of the inmates that are at the facility tested positive, but only one of those inmates died. I'd say that they're doing a pretty good job when it comes to managing the COVID situation, folks. Shortly before Ndai's move, the former warden at Fort Dix was reassigned to the agency's regional office weeks after members of Congress from New Jersey raised questions about the number of coronavirus cases at the prison and concerns about the transfer of federal inmates. They're more concerned about the coronavirus stuff because that plays politically with them than they were about Epstein dying at the prison. Can you imagine? These people have had all kinds of meetings and all sorts of sit-downs about this coronavirus situation in jail. But Jeffrey Epstein, we'll get around to that when we get to it. The letter signed by Democratic Senators Robert Menendez, absolute kleptocratic criminal, and Cory Booker, and 10 House Democrats, said it was clear that BOP does not have an effective plan to ensure COVID-19 positive incarcerated individuals are not transferred between facilities. Well, I think that's actually pretty smart. They shouldn't be transferring prisoners right now if there's a chance they're positive. They should be in some sort of quarantine. Pretty common sense method, if you ask me. But we're speaking of the bureaucracy here, folks. Common sense is the last thing they exhibit. Last month, the agency named Eric Williams as the interim warden at the Metropolitan Correctional Center, the jail where Epstein died, after he served in at least 5 federal executions at the end of the Trump administration. Oh, he's a boogeyman. He served in executions. This is what I was talking about before. It's just garbage, right? At the end of the day, you can hate the process, the death penalty and all of that. And like I said, I am not too fond of it myself. But to try and pigeonhole this guy for that, this new warden for that, I think is ridiculous. All right? Absolutely ridiculous. Now, I'm sure this new warden, Eric Williams, is an absolute tool in plenty of other ways. But let's make sure that our criticism is laser guided. The prior warden, Marty Lacone-Vital, abruptly stepped down after a year-long tenure marred by the rampant spread of the coronavirus, inmates' complaints about squalid conditions, a gun smuggled into the jail, and at least one inmate's death. Now, all of that stuff is certainly grounds for Vital to step down or be fired. She was obviously not able to conduct the job the correct way, so you have to go. My problem is that Mr. Ndai certainly isn't the replacement that anybody's been clamoring for. It's like everybody trying to get, Nick Saban as the coach and then accepting the candy vendor. It's the same thing. There is no reason for it. This man should not have this job. This man should be suspended pending investigation, and when the investigation comes back and it shows that his employees were lax in their judgment, to be conservative about it, and negligent in their duties, well, he should be penalized as well. Because at the end of the day, when are any of these people who are making hundreds of thousands of dollars in their positions ever going to take responsibility? Oh, they all want to take the credit, don't they? But none of them can take the criticism. If you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI at protonmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter at BOBBY_CAPUCCI. To everybody who has donated to the podcast, thank you very much. All of the links that go with this episode can be found in the description box. All right, everybody, I'll be back tomorrow, and we will pick up where we left off.
At Orange Coast, our customer reviews prove we treat you like family.
Our family works together.
Our family has your back.
During the Jeep Celebration event, get special pricing on our new Jeeps.
When you're with family, you have that sense of trust, and that's what we do here.
We're upfront with the prices.
We respect your time. We treat you like you matter.
Our customers' reviews are the best in the area.
And we've earned that reputation.
Your #1 Jeep dealer in Orange County. Shop easy. Drive happy. OCAuto.com.
The thing about the Home and Auto Bundle from Progressive is that by now you've heard a lot of ads about the Home and Auto Bundle from Progressive. We don't even need the words the Home and Auto Bundle anymore to tell you that you could save big with the ring-tailed lemur from Progressive, or that every hot peach cobbler comes with round-the-clock service and protection. And that's the thing about the goat with magic powers. You've heard a lot of ads about the sushi in Vancouver. See how much you could save with the Home and Auto with the Shaman in the Jungle from Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Bundle discount not available in all states or situations.